first responsibility placed upon teachers. That first responsibility, in my opinion, lies with the caregivers, the parents of those children. So that's what I would like to contribute, as my answer to that question.
That's um that's very good. That's very good because that message holds true whether we were in a troubled world or not. It holds true for just a morality standpoint and just who and what we are as people that we should pass on how we treat each other.
Yes.
You know, I see High Energy, aka Nancy, has joined us.
Yes, hello
Hel-
everyone.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you all?
Is it okay if we see your face?
Not at this particular time because I'm unless
No,
you want to
no,
see me.
no problem, no problem. No, no, it's okay.
I'm cooking Pretty's ground beef.
Well, okay.
You can
That
see
is
me
fine.
here.
I think that would be okay.
I do too. I think that would even make the conversation more interesting. And Stacey, if I could jump in, I would love for you to ask Nancy that question after Crystal answers it, because Nancy is also a teacher.
Yes, she is, and that's
Okay,
exactly
thank
why
you.
I opened up and brought this to her because, she has some wisdom over in that area, and it just does. So, if you could repeat the question for me, because I'm dealing in a lot of little technical things over there, so just repeat it to her for me, would you please?
Yes. So Crystal first and then Nancy.
Okay.
What should we say to children where we are now upon another defining moment in our society? I know that neither one of you had children, but if you can reflect upon your childhoods and things that were said to you that influenced you to be on the successful path that you're on. I know Nancy has had a very successful path, and watching you, Crystal, being of the younger generation, it would be great to hear you all's thoughts on that. Thank you.
I think that for myself, most important skill that I've picked up is the skill to organize myself and other people. Because I think it's without this collective action and this kind of community organizing, we're really at the whim of the people in power. So by enabling kids to have the tools to organize, to work within their community and work with each other, we're stronger together. Honestly, I think we're stronger together. And I think that raising this next generation up to be loving, but also to be fighters, and to be aware of their surroundings and the surroundings of the larger political climate.
That was good. That was good. That's very encouraging. So, Nancy, do you understand the question? It's like, what do you tell your youth? You train and you're a teacher, you're an instructor, you influence people of all ages, and including Pretty that you're cooking food for. Yeah.
Um,
By the way, Pretty is her pooch. Okay.
I would say to anyone that I'm training, we live in a pluralistic, multicultural country. The United States, as my grandma said to me, was built on the backs of Black people and Native American people. And she was bawling her eyes out as she said this. And she was very upset many years ago of the state of Black America. And what she felt was the hostility, the racism, the prejudice, just the overall daily expression of their Blackness, and how for no reason in life it could create a trauma for them just being Black in America. And that had a profound effect on me. I mean, even before she made that comment, I was bound by my own ethics and my upbringing to understand that I would never want to look at someone and prejudge them based on their ethnicity, their race, or their religion. And you know, I went to Detroit Public Schools. I grew up in Detroit. When Dr. King was assassinated, my mother came home from church that night and was attacked by a white man who meant her great bodily harm. And thank God for my dad that saved her. So my experience and what I would tell children and whenever I taught, if there was a moment that was an educable moment where I had to stop my instructions because I was a PE teacher, stop whatever game was being played and say, excuse me, come on over here. We need to talk about this. As was reported to me, this just occurred and these comments were just made about this person, which is very hurtful. And we need to talk about this. We need to understand why this is wrong. And we need to understand why this can't happen, not in this school, not only in the school, but in life. And if you're having a problem with someone, or you don't like the way the activity's going, or they're winning, or they pushed you, or they whatever your drama is as an adolescent or a child, you cannot allow your mind to go to a place where you denigrate that human being, because they are no different than you or me or any of us. So that was how I approached it when I was an educator.
Wow. That was really good. That's really good. And so, I mean, I think we have a brilliant team here that's going online, and I love all of you for doing this. You know, each of you know me from my heart, and we decided to do this. It was actually last minute, and I spoke to each one of you, and kind of all feel similar, you know, about the situation. And right now, I'd like to bring on Jason, our program director for Deep Space Radio. The man is so passionate, and before I could even get out the words of what I was going to talk about, everything that came out of his mouth was everything that I felt. I mean, everything. And it was so profound. He lives in Atlanta, so he's right in the heart, and he's watched and he's seen these things. This brother that's from Detroit could have very well been that jogger, because he's a health fanatic as well. Very passionate with what he does and everything. And so, Jason, if you could jump on the mic and just kind of share with us this.
Stacey, Nancy, can you mute? Don't cut your video off, just mute.
She is. I see her high energy thing. I think what's happening is that wherever the music is coming from, when we don't talk, it feeds into it. And so we're hearing the music come up slightly when we stop talking, which isn't a big problem. If you're listening to Deep Space Radio, all you hear is music and the talking. You kind of don't hear what we're hearing, which is the combination of both being mixed, both up and down. Thanks everybody for coming, and thanks for inviting me on. My feeling is that when there's unrest, when there's change, change is not something that's passive. It can be violent and it can be disruptive. And this country is a country that's built on constant change, and it's been violent, and it's been a tectonic shift ever since the first settlers and the first explorers got here to the country. Even if you just look at it on a viral level, as we're experiencing a virus now, we realize, that viruses and disease has been something that's worked in the advantage, actually, of the domination or the or the settling or the takeover of the country, depending on how you decide to term it. And I think, right now we're experiencing a serious year of change that none of us in our comfort and in our own privilege really expected. We didn't expect to deal with this. And I think that the first thing, we started to notice is as soon as they told people, hey, look, you can't go outside, you can't do what you normally do, people reacted, and they reacted, in both fear and in anger. You can't tell me not to go outside. You can't tell me I can't do this. You can't tell me how to run my business. The collective in the United States, this is a country built on the collective. The biggest bad word in the political system, probably now or ever, has been be a socialist or be a communist. Like, we're not going to turn into a socialist government. This isn't a communist nation. We don't, we're not here for the collective unless the collective is the board of an organization or a corporation, and it's making profit for the collective, which is really the government, not really us. And as we see people react in anger because they're upset about a problem that they see ongoing that hasn't been addressed, that we've received a lot of condescension about, when we've had people who, aren't really spokespeople, not really activists, take action, then those people are, blacklisted, or they're taken out of the system. I mean, it's really unfortunate. I mean, Kaepernick is not a spokesperson. He's not really an activist, but he decided to do something, and they disassembled and they took him apart for that. And then it's, the meme that's going around is a picture of Kaepernick kneeling, and then a picture of this guy who's a police officer who's been reprimanded and been written up and been investigated. Actually now has, after years, has actually killed someone. And we don't know how to react to that, because every few days, instead of, a couple of times a year, which isn't acceptable either, every few days, we've seen something else happen. Brunswick, Georgia, New York, the police officer in her own home. This has just been a domino effect. And people are basically saying white and black and Latino and Asian that have certain political alignments that we don't want to take this anymore. And in the black community, when they see communities that we assume from the presentation on the news that are black communities, because a lot of black people are there, we say, not we say, or I say, or you guys say, people say, hey, they're burning up their own neighborhood. That doesn't make any sense. There's a Fox commentator. She's younger than all of us collectively. She's got that platform, and she said, it's stupid to burn up your own neighborhood. Well, a guy or a woman who lives in a neighborhood that by and large is owned by somebody else, that if they wanted to own a store in their neighborhood, if they wanted to get a lease on the store, if they wanted to start a business, they would have trouble. If they want to purchase their house, sometimes they can't buy their house. The person won't sell it to them. These people that are in that neighborhood, they're upset, they're frustrated. And when they start to destroy that area, in reality, from their perspective, and to some degree from my perspective, they're not destroying their neighborhood. They're destroying the neighborhood that they are forced to live in. And that building, they don't see that that's a black-owned business, but they are harming black businesses. They don't see that that may be a black-owned home, that they are harming that homeowner, and they're disassembling the network and the community that was in that neighborhood. But in their mind, in the instance of fury, they're just destroying something that they have not fully taken ownership of. And one of the reasons they may feel that they don't take ownership of it is because they don't feel like it's their neighborhood and this is their country. Now, I'm sure some people look at the tattoos and look at the neighborhoods and, the gangs and things that exist in the neighborhood, and the ownership that people take in that way, but they don't feel true ownership in that neighborhood, and the true type of community that moves people forward sometimes doesn't exist and it's not supported, especially not on a governmental level, on bureaucrats that run the neighborhood and provide resources for the neighborhood, and businesses that often control and often are the franchisors in that neighborhood. If you got a Subway in your neighborhood, if you've got and I'm not disrespecting Subway, I'm saying if you've got, a BP in your neighborhood, just using those as corporate examples, not as anything bad. Those huge corporations, they're not necessarily in perception of the person that lives in those areas. They're not investing in those areas. So then these people that live in these areas, these people across the country, ourselves included, feel isolated. and we feel the pressure and the disruption and disassociation that you feel when you don't feel like you're really being brought in or being a part of something. My friend is she's not executive. She's a middle management person at a major corporation. And as she's under pressure to do her job, she expressed that she feels like the people who run her corporation, the people who are in her management, are after their goals, and they aren't taking into context the psychological effects of what is going on around us, not just in the isolation of COVID or the threat of being sickened or debilitated by COVID, not just in the violence that surrounds them, but in the general day-to-day operation of the way that our country and our society works. And that's dangerous to have a lot of people who are feeling as if they don't have an outlet, that they're isolated, that they don't really have anybody in their corner. And we're living in a society where threats have been generationally passed down. The same threat against rioting that was made via Twitter was made by Bull Connor, by George Wallace, and that before him was made by, I believe, the governor of Florida in the 1800s. So year after year after year after year, the psychology of dominance and the psychology of we're in control. If you disrupt our system, we'll do what's necessary to put you back into your place. That's something that gets to be pervasive. And when something gets repeated and something gets pressed on you over and over again, that, I think that becomes generational. And as I think maybe Sierra said, that becomes something that's like PSD. It's something that's in your system, that it takes a lot more, as Nancy was saying, as either an educator or a psychological professional or as a politician or as a community leader to try and help somebody get past. And again, circling back, this country is not about the community, it's about the individual. And if you can't hack it, they're not worried about you. You're just roadkill. You're just somebody that just got passed by. So, I understand when you're in a community and you're upset and you riot and your response is violence and your response is destruction. However, the long-term effect of what you're doing and how what you're doing is perceived is the dangerous part, because every single thing that we've seen that has happened has been twisted and has been edited down to exactly what was needed to change the narrative in favor of those who want to continue to execute their power. We're just in an interesting, dangerous situation. And as things continue to change, we're going to have to be a lot smarter and a lot more strategic in how we approach the change that we want.
That was very good. I always enjoy talking to you. We touch on many different subjects.
Hey, before you move on with the next question, can you hear me?
Yes.
I would love for Cynthia and John to chime in. I don't know if Nefertiti has children, but Cynthia is a teacher and administrator in Detroit Public Schools. She has raised 4 very successful children. John has one daughter, and she's an outstanding student as well, and a little volleyball pro in the making. So the question, John and Cynthia and Nefertiti, if you have children, is, given what we're witnessing across the nation in the light of these recent deaths, gross civil rights violations committed against people, John and Cynthia first, what would you say to your children?
I'm sorry, Sierra, can you repeat the question?
Okay.
Not the whole question. What was the
Just what would you say to your children if they called you and wanted to have a conversation with you about what's happening across the nation?
That's actually a really good question, and I've thought about it a lot lately because I have older sons, and they're actually both in the military right now. And so with everything that's going on, it is disheartening, and I do worry every day. I worry all the time, and it's funny that you say this because my youngest son, who was here before he left to go to the military, we used to live in uh, Southfield, which is close to Berkeley, and they went to school in Berkeley. And so he worked there. He's a really good kid, no trouble, nothing. And for the first time, I felt, the fear when he came home and he told me, "Mom, I got pulled over." I said, "Oh my God, where did you get pulled over? Why? Did you stop? Did you make sure you were nice?" And all those thoughts went through my head. And it's scary. What do you tell your sons other than, do the best to be polite, do whatever they say, don't be argumentative, don't try to, prove yourself, because it's not worth it at the end of the day. So those are the things that I talked to him about when he told me that he got pulled over, because I'm sure there'll be many more times that he's going to be pulled over. And, and he serves his country. Both of my sons do. And it's sad. I grew up from a military background, all of my family. And my father, born in Texas, he is a very dark-skinned Black male who grew up with a lot of the things that are going on today on a whole nother level, especially when he first joined the military. And the things that he taught us, though, was not to hate. That's one thing he always taught us. Just grow up, do the best you can, be the best person that you can be, and don't be a hateful person, because hate actually is fear itself. It's not hate. It's just you're fearful, and that's what's going on right now. I don't believe hate is a strong word, but I believe it's driven by fear. It's just fear. And that's unfortunate. A lot of people don't want to see us as Black people be successful. And me being biracial, being Asian and Black, it's worse on both ends. But that's all I could say in regards to, with my sons. I just try to teach them, if they're ever stopped, or if they're ever questioned, just answer their questions. Don't be, aggressive. And it's sad that we have to teach them that, and it's funny too, me and my son, I went to pick him up from Pizza Hut when he was working at Berkeley. And we always go into 7-Eleven. He likes Slurpees. I kid you not, there was a group of kids who were arguing with the people across the counter, screaming at them. It was 2 white individuals and a Black individual. They ran out. The cops came up. We were sitting in the car. Do you know he came up to our car and questioned us? And I looked at my son and I looked at the police officer, and he said, "I needed to know if you were just in the store and if you were I said, "No, sir, we were not." And and you want so bad to say something, like, "How dare you come to my car? Me and my son are sitting here."
Yeah, that's where they come in and saying, about women being, angry Black women,
Mm-hmm.
when you have every right to be angry at
Right.
them approaching you and
Right.
your family.
Right.
And so you must remain passive to approach that. And that's, kind of what spawned what feelings and stuff that are going on now, because we know mothers are hurting, people are hurting.
Mhm.
I could cry nonstop because of this.
Right.
That's the feeling. This is why I chose to use my platform today to just talk about it.
Right.
To
Well, I
try to.
appreciate, Sierra. You guys have to excuse me. Me and my boyfriend are working out in the gym, and we're listening. And he's listening. He also has 2 children, very young children. They're 10 and 8. Yeah. So I appreciate being invited to this, and we're going to continue to listen.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Appreciate you.
welcome.
Appreciate you.
All right, John, let's hear from you. John, you're muted.
We can unmute him from here, I think. Unmute.
Hold on, you're muted, John.
There he goes.
For us, I mean, with our daughter, she'll be 14 in June. And I mean, we sort of raise our golden rule in this house is the golden rule: treat others as the way that you want to be treated. And that's so simple, such a simple foundation. And my daughter has mastered it, and she's doing, really well, and she will be part of the change. I know that.
That's something I hoping to hear. That's part of my answer because we have to teach them. But my God, look at what we have to teach them through. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I just
But
had to high five.
that was pretty much the point that I was making, is that it's up to us to, to teach and to mentor, and it's and unfortunately it's not a black or white thing. It's an economic thing. I mean, it doesn't matter what color you are. If you're poor, you suffer just like the other poor kid next to you that might be Mexican or black. At least that was my experience as a kid growing up. And so for us, I mean, we I was very impressed with my daughter that, when we were raising her, that she really didn't see race. So for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
See?
That is. So I think we have, I think Nefertiti is in. Sarah, would you?
Yep, I already gave her the question. Do I need to repeat it, Nefertiti, or you think you got it from here?
Can you repeat the question just for clarity's sake?
Yes. So given what we are witnessing across the nation, you have children?
I have 2 adults.
Yes, we would love to hear what you have said to your children, or what you're saying to your children, even though they're adults. What's the conversation that you're having them? And one of the things I was looking for was, when you were raising your children, what were you teaching them about themselves, so that they
that's a layered question, because that's a multi-layered question. So for one thing, my children were raised in an activist household because I'm an activist, right? I come from a family of activists, right, from Chicago. When I moved to Detroit, I've been a member of the Shrine of the Black Madonna since I was 15 years old. I'm in my 60s now, right? So my background is a background of activism. So I always taught my children that they were responsible stewards of not just America, but the world. What does that also mean? That means that I did not limit my children to think that the world is America. I made sure that my children knew that they were global citizens. My adults have passports. I've always talked to my adults about the fact that they do not have to be limited to stay in this country. This country is built on racism. Those are the facts. I don't know if that's ever going to change, okay? And so I also had to teach my children how to protect themselves, right? I also had to teach my children, my adults, how to have a strong sense of self, a strong foundation, so that they don't become a victim to the conversation that unfortunately many young adults are victim to. That is that they're minorities, they're small, they don't have a voice, Yes, I did teach my adults how to be savvy, how to be strategic about how they move in this American culture, because that's what you have to do as a Black mother, as a Black parent. That is your responsibility to do. And you cannot walk through these Americas, with rose-colored glasses on. You just can't do it. It's just not, you're not preparing your child when you do that, okay? Because when they bump up against what they will inevitably bump up against in this country, which is racism, they're thrown off. Now you want to go tear some shit up. You know what I mean? Because your foundation is not, you're not so grounded. And so these are all the things that I made a point. Now I know that, I'm not the average parent either. Again, I come from a very strong activist background, right? So I knew it was my responsibility to teach my children the truth, and also teach my children how to navigate these waters, and again, stress the fact that they are not limited to stay in this country.
What a fine mother. What a fine mother you have. That's That's excellent. And I love all these different perspectives that are set there. We have children of different ages, younger, it's across the board. And what this is saying is how it's affecting us all. And I knew that. It was so much to the point that I could barely even function yesterday. And Jason, as you know, I was just going to play a mix. I couldn't go live, but I felt compelled to do what we're doing just here right now. And
it's important to have the conversation. It's important, I think, as a community, what we have here is a community, a group of people with different perspectives. It's important to discuss and to have some kind of an outlet, because it gets to be a lot over time. It gets to be a lot if you're just in it by yourself. If you see it as just being in it by yourself, you find strength in your community and having discussions. If you're hearing from a Nefertiti how she's addressing it, you're hearing from John how he's addressing it, you're hearing from Sierra how she's addressing it. It gives you a better perspective and maybe even gives you some insight as to how you might be able to view things differently. I think, like me and Nefertiti may not be 100% on the same page, but I may learn something from what she's saying. And in the moment that I'm trying to deal with the constant procession of events, and that's a human thing. When you're living in a society, I've traveled a lot. I've been married to somebody that's from overseas. I've experienced, some things, and I wouldn't say I'm an expert on anything, but I think that the thing I did pick up is that people who have a monoculturalistic society, they have a certain type of aversion to outsiders. And people who have a monocultural society, in that it's not everybody looks the same, everybody speaks the same language. Everybody has been trained to be the same way. You go there and they're like, oh, hold on, like you move differently than we move. Like, you're going to experience that everywhere. You'll even, if you return, we can say 7 generations, 8 generations later return. But if you were to move to Africa, there would be there'd be cultural bigotry that you'd have to deal with and assess. And if we're really here in America as Americans, realizing that we've invested our lives and our families, really generations in the country, and money and blood and sweat and hard work, at the point that we realize that, we have to realize what are we going to do about our country? My family's been here since before there was a quote unquote America, United States, and from the many branches of my family. So, just as, I don't know if you guys saw, if Stacey or Sierra isn't on Facebook, I don't think, but I posted on my Facebook page the scene from Mandingo when he was about to get hung, and he said, "This is just as much our country as it is yours." And we're gonna have to make some decisions. And we've had a lot of discussions, and even at the talented 10% level, they're having a discussion like our discussion. That's not the discussion they should be having. They have the ability and the platforms to do different things. What are they doing about addressing how police are trained? My father was a prison warden, and he worked with state police in the state of Michigan. And who you select, how you select, what is their education? What type of military background did they come from? Where are they from? Are they truly divulging information about who they are? We're not really monitoring who police are. We're giving them the ultimate authority to exercise force and to execute how laws and how justice is dealt out, and we don't really keep track of them. Like, a dude can put on a badge and go driving around in a car with a shotgun and an assault rifle and a computer that tells him everything about John when John's driving down the street before John gets out of the car, but we don't really know what he's doing after 8 o'clock. Like, he can sit down on his computer, put a mask on, and be a terrorist and have like an entire organization of people who he's saturating with insanity on a day-to-day basis. And we don't know, because we aren't policing the people who have the ultimate authority. We elect people over and over again to office and allow them to make millions of dollars, and we put no limits on that. The people who knew in advance, or had at least access to the type of knowledge that would tell us what was happening in advance with COVID-19, those people pulled their stocks out of one section of the market, waited for the dip to happen, then reinvested their money in companies that made PPE and medical supplies. And we're not addressing that. we're addressing the emotional impact of things. You have to, at this point in the game, subtract the emotion from the discussion, and you have to start to make smart, tactical, and strategic decisions because you're in a environment where that's what makes people win. There are always going to be people like Donald Trump, whose family, his grandfather went to Canada, got kicked out, came here, made millions of dollars in the West, selling people their horses back as meat, owned a brothel, moved across the country. His dad gets into real estate. He makes millions of dollars. He pulls Donald into the business. Donald sacks his brother, makes his brother look like an idiot. He takes over the business. He moves further and further ahead.
Yeah, I just want to, but that is kind of the way of the nation, and
that's
part of
how
the build.
Whole world works.
That's a whole right. So one other thing I'd like to touch on here, Asir shared with me today. Many of us, we have a very intelligent group here, and I see that Karen has come in, and we're going to get her opinion as to what we should tell the children as well. But just before we do that, again, you have some background in law, Sarah, and just share, what you told me about a procedure as the way an arrest goes and why it's first, second, or third degree murder as to why. So talk about the elements that make that particular thing up. We know it just happened to George, but what the law is, and because it was enlightening to me, because the first thing I said, why wasn't he charged with first degree murder? That was my question to you. Like, to me, that's, you know what I mean? And then also about the procedure of doing arrest, and if you would kind of elaborate on that a little bit, and then we'll swing it over to Karen and get her opinion. Turn your mic on. Here we go. Do I have to unmute you?
Why don't you unmute her?
Okay. Darryl, maybe you have to unmute her if so I'm not sure.
I'm unmuted.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, so most of you know I'm a retired federal agent with 20 years service. And I worked 3 investigations that involved double homicides. I worked several investigations where Black males were gunned down. So we may know who did the crime, right? But first of all, you have to prove that they did it. So I want to put each of you in this situation and ask if you would want to be treated this way. Someone said you committed a crime. So now the police just go out and arrest you without an investigation. Okay? Now, fast forward. We see the video. We see what's going on. We see. But then there's a law that applies to each crime that is committed. Sometimes it's multiple laws. So people were wondering, including the family of Mr. Floyd, why wasn't the officer charged with premeditated murder? First degree murder is I plan to go out and commit this murder. Okay? Now, there's another law that states when you are carrying out an action, your intentions is not to murder, but you should be aware that the state of your action could result in somebody's harm or death, right? There's a law that states within all laws is the general intent and criminal intent. Now, in this case in particular with the police officer clamming down on the man's knee, that might be a police procedure, right? However, at some point, as a trained police officer, you have to know if the force you're applying is appropriate or excessive. In this case, it was excessive. First of all, I'm shocked that there's even a policy that states you can do that. But if that force becomes excessive and you are ignoring or now deliberately applying excessive force, now we're going to look at your state of consciousness. The state of your mind with total disregard to harming that individual. So when the man started crying out, I cannot breathe. And we have plenty of examples like that. At some point, a officer of morals, values, principles, ethic, and adhering to his training would say, oh, wait a minute. And that's what we not had here. So he's not charged with first-degree murder. He's charged with a law applicable to some type of murder because his actions that he carried out, it wasn't his intent to harm him. But where he bears responsibility is when he didn't pull back.
Right.
So not only does he have the man saying, hey, he also had citizens saying, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is too much. He had blatant disregard for life. He had blatant disregard for the excessive force he was using. He had blatant disregard for his police department, the chief, the mayor, the governor, the citizens. He had blatant disregard, not meaning he meant to kill someone. But in his hot-headedness, I shared with Stacey earlier, when we put on our uniforms, our clothes each day, we say, how is this day going to be as law enforcement? Well, I'm here to tell you, you have a lot of people in law enforcement, not the whole group. Some say, today is my day, make my day. So they go to work with that attitude, charged up, pumping fists, today is the day that it's going down. Okay. So this man had a history of today is my day.
Yep. That's with him not being checked with that. And it kind of goes back to Jason, the training. You said like what they do after the time, not having the background training to have things like that. So the lack of education on the law enforcer and also the ones that hire the law enforcement.
And again, and Sierra can answer this. Sierra, as an officer at a federal level, don't you have to, at least on some level, they assess your personality and your temperament and your psychological state?
Find out if you are crazy.
Yes, they do. However, once you get on the job, guys,
you get a crazy gone because of seeing things. I don't know.
Now, in my honest, assessment, every law enforcement officer should undergo a yearly psychological evaluation.
Right. That's the point I'm making.
99% of the agents I work with, that wouldn't even apply. But guess what? When you have that 1% that is unchecked, the whole agency stands to fall.
That's right. So I want to move over to Karen, as she has joined us. And she's also, very intelligent and opinionated and very close to things that are happening. And she has her own co-host a radio show on 910. Is that right?
Yep, 9:10 a.m.
Yep. And where it's just totally talking to you with Reverend
Pastor Mo.
Pastor Mo, right. So, I don't know if you heard the original question. We asked, like, what would we tell our youth as, with living in this world with all this things that none of us collectively would have ever thought we'd have been living through a time like this. And so what would we tell our youth? We so part of us doing this is to try to heal and having a conversation amongst ourselves. I mean, it's easy to point fingers and say, I want to, that kind of thing. But this is a kind of a talk, and I chose to take my platform to do a healing. So your opinion?
Okay. So this is pretty easy for me. Hello, everyone. Glad to hear all the information. Very, very phenomenal on your part, Sierra, about, the police thing. But on the kids, I'm a great godmother and I'm a great aunt. And that's coming from the kids in my life. What I preach to every kid in my life, day one, is all about character. And so that's what I push first. You can't control the other people out there, but I say you can control your character. And so if you got good character and you make good choices, it's unlikely you will be confronted with certain things. But then we got our innocent situations where, when my nephew could be driving in a car and he could get pulled over. And what I'm telling the young people in my life, keep it cool. Don't succumb to peer pressure about doing certain things. And again, just watch how you talk to everybody, including an intimidating police officer, and putting yourself in certain situations that can possibly be avoided. I'm looking at the footage from last night in Detroit, downtown. So many things could be avoided as far as drama. And I'm not judging the households they come from because we don't know, but also parents, godparents, aunties, uncles, you got to take a little better interest, or in some people that are not taking interest in their young folks, you got to know what they're doing now, because it's just a whole different ball game out here. Way different. It's very scary. So that's what I preach to young people about, and that you're going to run into people with bad character. How you choose to handle it could be a good outcome or it could be a bad outcome, but your choices overall will determine what kind of situations you end up in.
That's very good. That's you have choices how we handle it. And this is part of how I'm handling it. I didn't know, I made this decision at the nth hour and was even going to play music and stuff, but I'm glad the discussion and our feelings and our talk about this took over, because it's important. I mean, it's just, I feel helpless, because I want to do something. What do I do? This is just something I said, okay, here, I can do something right now and today and take, my little hour of fame and, to help with this. I see your hand is up.
I just wanted to expand on one thing. You know, I like to talk. One thing, if
somebody else in the room and Darryl's time is up. Darryl comes on in 5 minutes.
No, it'll be 1 minute. Real quick. If I had any say in anything that's going on right now, I would hold whoever runs these police stations accountable, whether it's the chief. You have to know what kind of officers you have on your staff. And when you have reports of officers having bad situations,
absolutely,
that is the key to this. I'm watching. Every police chief needs to be held accountable for who is under his watch.
We totally agree. And that was back to what Sierra had said about psychiatric evaluation yearly. So you kind of said, because you need the team to help it all operate. Kenyatta, let's see.
Can I just say one quick thing? I just want to thank the Detroit Police Department, because you know what? I have so much respect for our police officers. Detroiters did their job many years ago during the Coleman Young era. Okay, look, other states need to learn from us. That's what I think.
I think that's true.
Because our department represent our neighbors. They represent my clients. They represent our friends. They represent folks we play cards with, we dance with. So I just hate to see our department being pushed, being broad stroked, you know what I'm saying, paintbrushed into they're all the same. No, Detroiters did the damn work. Okay, yes. We did the work.
I think the same thing is very true of the Atlanta Police Department. I think things could have gone a lot worse during the course of those events. I mean, a lot. It didn't look great on television. It didn't look great in the media, and people were upset. But I think it could have gone sideways. And I think there are always incidents that we can point out with police in various cities. But the leadership and with Killer Mike, the mayor, and T.I. came together to say yesterday, as well as how some of the officers behaved in the face of people who were irate, rightfully so. I think, there's something to be said for police departments that have a record that doesn't reflect excessive use of force on a consistent basis.
That does. So I'd like to get in, how do you say the anesthetic photography? I know it's connect, but I'm trying to say that. I don't know if you just joined in. Sierra, can you lead her in with conversation? Let's get her in because
Yeah, so
we
if
have a few
because
minutes
we have
left.
to wrap it up. So Nancy had her hand up, and then we'll have Connect finish up.
Before this incident with Mr. George Floyd, I had for a long while noted and said out loud, and I think I may have even mentioned it to Sierra in the past, you know, after Malice Green was murdered at the hands of 2 Detroit police officers, I feel like our Detroit police, like Nefertiri said, they did the damn work. They did the damn work. They vetted their officers. They trained their officers as community outreach.
That's
They
true.
understood their people. They understood their communities, and they were able to work and not create these incidents that you see all over the country. We haven't had that here in Detroit since Malice Green, and I'm very grateful for that.
Okay, we have just a few minutes. Connect is a professionally trained photographer. Her work is outstanding. Connect, when you look at the images, whether it's CNN live images or still photography, what do you think the message is conveyed, or what do you feel from a photographic standpoint?
Have to unmute her.
First, hello everyone. I feel, looking at all of this, I feel a lot of pain, anger. When we were younger, well, actually, some of you are older than I am, but in the 50s and 60s, when people were protesting, we had a leader. We do not have one leader. We need a leader to help us all come together.
That is why I said that. I think I said that to you, Sierra, didn't I?
Yeah.
I said that was, encompass having a troubling world is not nothing new. Our world has been troubled in various stages and many different things, but to not have a leader is
and a cohesive
why I'm in tears. It really is. It really is.
And then, like today, I was getting ready, and when you all get off this call, go back and say the Black National Anthem to yourself. Say it to yourself, and when I've sung it before, the words didn't mean the same as they felt today as I sung it to myself, and I repeated those words to myself today. They have a stronger feeling today. I would like to do something like Stacey would, but I can't because, we are in quarantine. I'm high risk. I stay with my mom. My mom's high risk. I am upset and I am hurt, but this is something that needs to be done for our society and our planet to be officially cleansed.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. We're a little past the hour, so I'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming in onto this platform and allowing me to share my feelings and for you to share your feelings. And it's across the world. Don't get me wrong. It's very worldwide. Even the very little incidents, I'm constantly speaking with different people around the world, and I'm getting texts from all nationalities, all colors, just how deeply affected. It's just as deep as the virus, the pandemic that's going on, the injustice going on here. They're like equal, for humanity, because it does affect humanity, overall. Again, I'd like to thank you for doing this here. We're tuned into Deep Space Radio. Jason, thank you for allowing this platform. And, I think all of you are so well educated, and you know a lot of stuff. And that's why I wanted all that stuff to come out and for us to be able to talk about it here. And Jason, did we do the commercial break? Did that happen? And is it ready to roll in? You have to tell us.
Because I'm here and I'm listening to you. I don't know. My guess is that if it's 6:02,
It's
we're on to the next hour. What time is it?
Let's see. The time is 6:03.
Yeah, so you're off the air.
I'm off the air.
It's on a GPS clock. It one way or the other. At 2 minutes after, you're back. You're at whatever the next thing is going to happen is. So I guess we're in the middle of Darryl's mix.
Yeah,
but he has to fire it up and go. Or
That's
so
right.
y'all got a backdoor look at how we run around. We do.
Yeah. So
You have a
kill
backdoor.
the feed on BUTT. You should kill that at 6 o'clock straight up. And then Darryl should be able to log in and it should work fine.
I'm already logged in. You guys are running off of my BUTT.
Okay, so you're good to go, Darryl.
Yeah, it's yeah.
All right, so what's up to Darryl's audience?
So
We better
everybody
stop
say,
talking
what's up,
because we're
Darryl
over
G?
everybody else's thing.
Hey, Darryl G.
Hey, Darryl G.
Yep. So you're in the mix with DJ Darryl G on the Godmother of House Disciples on Deep Space Radio. Hit it, Darryl.
Bang it. Thanks, Nancy. Thanks, Sierra. Thanks, Cadet. Thanks, Darren. Thanks, John.
See, so
Stacey.
yep, I'm still here. Yeah, see, we're on Zoom.
Right, we're on Zoom.
So that way we can still be in here and chat if we want to. It's just not going over the air.
Oh, okay.
I don't think. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Oh, it is. Oh.
We're having the loud conversation in the club right now. Right now,
Hey.
we're the people that people are like, would you please stop talking?
We can stay in the room and dance.
You have to go outside. Just stick to the smoking section.
So what I'm gonna do is
We better end this.
no. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mute everybody, and this is what I want y'all to do. We're gonna dance to Darryl, okay? So just turn the music off, and we can keep on. And we can be dancing around, and I want Pretty to dance too.
Everything you say,
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
I just
children is house. Now you have to watch out when folk are playing house. Down 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 when folk are playing house.
Frankie said, lock the doors, I'm about to get off.
on your thighs, name your price. Can I come and charge your mind? How much would it take to buy some of your time? Choke me out. But please, not so hard. Sensitivity is key, and the key is to my heart. Lock me up and throw that shit away. Dirty minds think alike. Can I be your personal slave? Can I be your personal slave?
time. And oh Lord, I want you to get together. Put your hands together one time. And oh Lord, remember me. I'm the one who had your baby now. Remember me. I'm the one who had your baby now. Remember me. I'm the one who had your baby now. Remember me. I'm the one who had your baby now. I want you to get together. Put your hands together one time. And oh Lord, I want you to get together. Put your hands together one time. And oh Lord, and oh Lord.